Welcome to ThriveNYC training on our new data reporting system, which we're calling the Quality Management System, or QMS. This webinar will give you a general overview of the system, discuss data entry, walk through the quality assurance, or QA, or data review process, and explain how we will use the system to finalize data each reporting period. Lastly, we'll walk through how to view data in the system once the data has been finalized. We are also providing you a user guide that will have much more detail along with screenshots. So, as you are getting used to this new system, please refer to the user guide. It has much more information and detail than this short orientation webinar can cover. Let's start with a general overview of what the QMS is. QMS will be the system of record for ThriveNYC related programmatic data. This includes the quantitative and qualitative data agencies regularly share with our office, along with descriptive program information, such as program descriptions and budget information, which is largely static or updated annually. You will complete both quantitative and qualitative reporting within the system itself, and the system will allow you to see previously submitted data. This will assist with performance management and will facilitate greater two-way clarity about the data. Let's take a little walk around the system to get you oriented. Please note, the system works best in Google Chrome. Once you're on the web page for the QMS, log in using the username and password that ThriveNYC supplied to you. If you ever have issues logging in or need assistance with setting up an account, please contact your ThriveNYC point of contact. Once you log in, you will see all of the programs that are assigned to you. Once you click on a program, you will see 4 tabs: Submissions, where you submit your data; Data Summary, where you can view data that has been submitted and look at data trends; Program Info, where your program description and other information lives; and Export, where you can export your existing data and pull reports. Let's talk about data entry. Once you select a program, the system will navigate you to the Submissions tab, or if you are browsing another tab, simply click Submissions. On the right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a fiscal year drop-down. Select the fiscal year that corresponds to the reporting period for which you are submitting data. This will almost always be the current fiscal year. Below the Submissions tab, you will see all of the active forms for the selected fiscal year. You will always see where in the data submission and review workflow you are, because at the bottom of the form, there is a prominent display indicating where you are in the workflow. You will input your data on a regular basis in forms. Each form will contain only the metrics that you need to report. So, when you log into the system, you will only see forms that are active. Let's jump into a form. We'll look at this Q1 quantitative form. You'll click Start to begin filling it out if the form is brand new, and View if you are editing existing data. Once you click Start, you will see fields for each data point that is due in this form. You will also see a couple of indicators. The first one you will see is a little chat box. We will discuss its use in a few minutes. You might also see a little eye icon indicating the data sharing status. The eye icon means that this metric is external and will be shared publicly, including on the ThriveNYC data dashboard. If you ever see this eye icon on a metric that you believe is not intended to be public, please contact your Thrive point of contact. Last, you will see the metric ID assigned to this metric. This metric ID is included so we can track the data metric over time, even if the language used to describe the metric changes. The metrics you will see will correspond to the agreed upon performance metrics for your program. Many metrics will be simple numeric values. All metrics that are percentages will require the input of a numerator and a denominator. The percentage itself will be auto-calculated. You may also see metrics with sub-measures. The way this information appears may be different than how you have reported it before, but the system will collect the same data you have already been reporting. Here are a few other things to know about entering your data in the new system. First, forms will include all data that has the same reporting deadline, regardless of the reporting frequency of a specific metric. This means that a form for FY quarter 4 can include metrics that are reported quarterly, as well as metrics that are reported annually. Or, a form for September can include data for that month and data for all of FY20 quarter 1, which is July through September. Second, all the values you report must be unique to the reporting period. One reason for this is the new system automatically aggregates data within a given metric over time. We will explain this feature shortly. We will not aggregate data that is not appropriate to aggregate over time. Now you know what you need to know about entering data. As you read each metric and enter data, you will be working in draft mode. You can save the data you have entered and come back to the form to finalize. To do that, simply scroll to the bottom of the form and click Save, and the data will be recorded. Once you have completed your data entry for the reporting period and you are ready to submit your data to ThriveNYC, you can simply click Submit for review. A pop-up box will appear that asks you if you are sure that you want to submit. Click Yes. After you submit, you will see that the form is now grayed out and no longer editable. Now, let's talk about how we will use the system to do our data review, or QA process. Once you submit your data, Thrive will be notified of the submission. From there, Thrive will review your data. Thrive will use the comment function to ask questions about what you submitted. These questions and comments will live in the system alongside the data you submitted. Once Thrive is done with our review, you will get a notification via email to respond to the comments we have included so that we can continue the process and move toward finalizing the data. The email you receive will include a link directing you to the form where you submitted data. The form will once again allow for editing. You will see in the workflow status bar that this is now the Needs Review by Agency step. To review a form, click View on the appropriate form. Recall the icons within the form to the side of the metric. Click the Comments icon, which will include a number corresponding to the number of comments associated with that metric. Below the comment box, you will see either a check mark icon or an exclamation point icon. The check mark means that no follow-up or changes need to be made to the data. The exclamation point means the data needs further review. The chat bubble will explain what Thrive is saying needs to be done. Please go through each metric and respond to all the comments where necessary. Once you have responded to all comments, you will navigate to the bottom of the page and once again click Submit for Review. Taking that action will move the form to the Agency Review Complete step and will prompt Thrive to go back in the system for additional or final review. At this stage, if there are more questions about the data, Thrive will resubmit it back to the agency for additional review. If there are no further questions, we will finalize the form. We will arrange meetings as needed to move us to a final version of the data. Once Thrive marks the form as final, the system will send another notification email to the program. The form will not be open for editing, so as you are reviewing one final time, if you see an error, please contact Thrive. You will now see a new checkbox at the bottom of the form. This is where you will certify that the data is accurate, which will allow you to submit it as final. This is the last step in the process. Once the program marks it final, this is an indication that the agency has signed off on the data and that the data is considered final. Once final, the form can no longer be edited and external data will soon be made public on the Thrive Data Dashboard on our website. The form will be marked as final and no further action is required for this reporting period. Before we talk about viewing your quantitative data, let's wrap up our walkthrough of the data submission process by talking about qualitative data. The Submissions tab will also include forms for you to enter qualitative data. This will allow you to enter longer narrative information, including accomplishments, issues of concern and proposed solutions, program stories, and upcoming events and priorities. Please remember that stories about client success or staff efforts help us explain the program to the public. Like quantitative metrics, this is information you already provide to Thrive. We will simply now be using this system to gather and store it. When Thrive has follow-up questions, we will follow the same process we just described for the quantitative data QA. When there are no questions, we will confirm that we have received your submission, reviewed it, and you will click the checkbox to confirm the submission is final. Now let's talk about viewing the data you have submitted. So let's head over to the Data Summary tab. The Data Summary tab allows you to see submitted and final data. The data is organized by reporting frequency. Like the Submissions tab, you will see a bar on the top that lets you select the fiscal year you want to look at. You will see multiple tables that correlate with the frequency your measures are reported. Quarterly data is displayed in one chart, annual data is reported in another chart, and so on. Each table will include the relevant metric names and values, simple bar graphs that create a visual trend for the fiscal year, target values where applicable, and fiscal year-to-date total values. This will allow you and Thrive to see program performance over the fiscal year. If you have multiple Thrive programs, you can select different programs from the drop-down menu at the top of the right-hand side of the page. The data points in the charts are also color-coded based on their status. Once the data is final, they will appear in blue. This tab is a great way to get a bird's-eye view of your program data. This concludes the webinar for how to enter and view data in the new QMS. Thank you for your time. We suggest you also review the Agency User Guide. As noted in the introduction of this webinar, the User Guide document provides more detail on QMS and how to use this new system. As always, please feel free to reach out to Thrive if you have any questions. We look forward to working with you in the QMS.